Let's take a look at a simple video about why the circuit breaker spring charging is like this now. As you can see, this is your breaker with the spring type mechanism that we are working on. We have already specified it according to the arc quenching medium, which is the medium Ahmed purchased. And according to its mechanism type, it is a spring type mechanism. Why is your breaker a spring type mechanism and not something else? It contains two springs, one in red and the other in green, as you can see. That's nice. Okay. What happens is that you have a motor here. As you can see, that's a motor, all right? And here you have the spring for closing and the spring for opening. Okay, let's take a look. Now, the spring in this position is extended, meaning it's discharged, not charged. So as soon as the brakes are discharged, you'll find that this motor starts and turns this gear. Focus with me on this mechanism. You see, it keeps moving, moving, moving until it hits both here. But you see what's happening with the spring here? It's compressed, so the spring is charged. And the motor has stopped charging, yes, because when it reached the end of the path here, there's a limit switch located on this gear that disconnects the circuit, which is called LS2, disconnecting the DC path from the motor, so the motor stops. Great, very good. Now here, I'm explaining to you, showing you the motor, and at the end of the session, I give you a hint because I'm about to explain the closing circuit. All right, you'll find here, engineer, that this is the coil responsible for closing. So let's see together the idea very simply. When you close or activate this, it's a coil. And when this coil is activated, it magnetizes, pulling the inner rod upwards. It pulls the rod up, all right? When it pulls the rod up, I want you to focus on this part. Look. So what did it do here in this part? Focus again, look here. It will lift this latch from here. And what happens is that this mechanism gets released. So what does this mechanism do? It continues its path, and when it continues its path, you'll find that the red spring discharges. At the same time, look here, it presses on this mechanism. See, it does two things at the same time. It closes the electrical circuit breaker and simultaneously recharges the spring of the pin again. Look here, it moves, pressing to close the breaker and charging the spring rib. So this accounts for discharging, and LS2 closes again, so the motor starts working again to recharge what? It recharges the spring for closing. So when does the closing spring get recharged? After every closing command, the closing spring is recharged again by the motor. As for the trip spring, it is mechanically charged by the movement of the nearby breaker during our closing operation. Is that clear? So the trip spring is not charged by the motor. How is the trip spring automatically charged? By what means? The movement of the breaker during what? During closing. Subscribe to the channel, subscribe to the channel, subscribe to the channel. We are here again for the second time with the content.